Hello and welcome to a special edition of Bad Pitch Energy, because what just happened, Robyn?
Venezuela just won the World Baseball Classic! Woo, 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 woo,
Let's go Venezuela! We love to see it. We love to see the underdog win.
win it
There's
all.
nothing more satisfying than seeing the underdog win, and as we'll get to later in the episode, against a very unlikable USA team.
No, I think we were especially surprised to see them make it this far because
Yes.
we were in a bar on Saturday when they were playing Japan, and we were like expecting Japan to win,
We
but
thought they were done.
we thought they were done. But no, Venezuela came back, won it all. I got into a fight with a Shohei Ohtani fan. It was great, but we'll get
More
more
on that
to
to
that
come.
later.
More on that to come. But Robyn, it is great to see you. We pushed back our episode a little bit this week so we could
did.
encapsulate the full World Baseball Classic recap. But how are you? What have you been up to?
I've been good. This is going to be another episode because of how late we're recording, where Tom and I are doing it remotely. So apologies for any weird delays. Want to get that out of the way because sometimes we do have those awkward moments. But one of the reasons also why we ended up pushing it back was because we both had a pretty busy weekend. One of my childhood friends came to town because this is also rodeo season. So we saw Kelly Clarkson, saw some kids ride some sheep, get stomped on by some sheep, some bull riding.
Also, Robyn, did you see the rodeo had to change their code of conduct and dress code?
Yes. So I think there was a fight that broke out Saturday that was all over social media. It was insane. And then also, apparently there are too many booty cheeks out.
Well, and that's it. I mean, the photos this year, especially from the Houston rodeo, were wild. Like, you are going to a carnival at 2:00 in the afternoon. There is no reason your ass should be out. Save that for the club. That is all well and good at the club. But you are in front of a 7-year-old who's eating his cotton candy, waiting to get in line on the Ferris wheel or whatever you call it. There was no reason you need to have it all hanging out like that. So this is one of the times where I'm like, maybe I am a little bit more conservative than I really think I am. Because I'm like, right, we got to stop that. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's because there has been a lot of discourse as well lately about how Houston has become a spring break destination, specifically because of the rodeo. So you have a lot of these out-of-towners coming into the rodeo expecting it to be like Coachella or Lollapalooza. So they come in with their nipple pasties and like their booty cheeks hanging out. And I'll be honest, Houston is very, very, very diverse. Our rodeo is a little bit more conservative because rodeo in itself is a charity, essentially, to promote agriculture as a whole. So you're going to have a lot of children there, a lot of families there, and it's not, we have like concerts, but it's not in the same vein that Coachella is.
Right. And that's exactly it, Robyn. The premise of the rodeo is really to be a fundraiser to fund scholarships for kids. And so, I mean, that's great. That's exciting. And listen, it's a place where you can have fun. And there are plenty of opportunities and venues within the rodeo to have fun. But it's just not, it's not a nightclub. And I think, yes, we had a lot of out-of-towners come to Houston for spring break this year, especially more so than in years past. And the rodeo is a fun experience. And we also had just a really cool overlap of World Baseball Classic happening in Houston for a week and a half. And then the rodeo happening simultaneously with that. So great for people to come and visit. But man, we really saw some out-of-pocket outfits and behaviors in Houston, especially at the rodeo this last week. But how was Kelly Clarkson? Because I'm very, very jealous of you attending that show.
Yeah, I will say I felt like I was in middle school all over again. It was like a sing-along of all her greatest hits. It was just so much fun. I wish you were there.
That's awesome. She is, from everything I've heard, she's great live.
Yes,
also just a fantastic
she's a
person.
Very, very strong vocalist. She's also like Texas down. And you can just feel like her love for her music and her love for sharing these moments with her fans as well.
I love that. We also
Yeah,
had this weekend, Robin, our fantasy
we
baseball draft.
did. We did. So we did shoot for a deeper league this year. I know
We
last
did.
year, I think for our friend group especially, it was kind of our first time actually really trying to do fantasy baseball.
Hmm.
Um, so I think once we dipped our toes in, we all kind of figured out the rules. Tom and I were like, let's make it a little bit more challenging. So we
Hmm.
did open it up to a lot more people, some friends we made from Twitter.
Hmm.
And I also talked my sister and my friend into joining literally last second. So it was a pretty fun. We were all like hanging out in your apartment, um, trying to draft in this very deep
Yeah.
league.
It was intense. It was intense.
It was it got very tense. I want to apologize again to Dana because we did take Juan Soto from her. My sister Zoe was trying to was planning on drafting Skewball, Ball, but someone had already taken Skewball, Ball, so she's panicking. She's going, Robyn, Robyn, who do I grab? I just go Soto, Juan Soto.
No, 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 no.
You
Listen,
have
I love
to.
it. It adds a different element now to the league. Dana will
Hmm.
resent that the entire season, which I'm here for. And so I'm
I
very
mean,
excited for our league.
or she can offer a very generous trade.
That is true.
She can
That is true.
always offer a very generous trade if she wants to keep her trademark name.
That's true because her team name is built around the player. So,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit of a conflict there. But she did, I will say, I'm proud of her because she drafted very emotionally last year. You know, the
Hmm.
Mets. Oh, I want Mets on my team. She didn't draft not one New York Met this year. And I think that was a very wise choice.
I will say, I think in the first episode, I did say if anyone did take Hunter Brown from me, I would skin them alive. So, Fidel, count your days. I know you're listening, bud.
Oh, I love it. Of all people to
uh,
have taken him, I'm so glad it was Fidel, if that makes sense.
I did expect it, truthfully. I did expect it, but
I'm here for it. It'll be a fun
it
season.
is what it is.
But before we get into this fun season of baseball ahead, let's recap what was a very, very exciting World Baseball Classic. And we had chatted about it on previous episodes, you know,
Hmm.
how we were excited to see the players get excited and the fans get
Hmm.
excited. To me, this has been the most fun WBC yet for a variety of reasons. What are your thoughts, Robyn?
Right. I think so. This is the first WBC that I actually watched. I knew
Hmm.
about the WBC in 23, but it was one of those like it happened, it's cool. But I think this is the first one that I was actively watching, and I
Yeah.
had so much fun. I think everyone knows that I was pulling for the Dominican Republic because I had a lot of favorite players on there. Tatis, Machado, Juan Soto. Um, but it was the energy that I wasn't expecting. I really was not expecting all of these Latin American countries coming in with so much pride and love and joy and sharing their culture and just the celebrations like Venezuela in the dugout. I think every game would have like the drums going and they'd be dancing. I mean, you got the Platinum Flower whenever the
Hmm.
DR scored a run. It was just so much
Yeah.
fun.
You've got the espresso in the Italy dugout.
Yes, yes, I forgot about
Love
the
it.
espresso machine. They should have
Love
made
it.
that. Someone should have like banned that because Italy was a dark horse that I don't think
Yeah.
either of us was expecting.
No, no. I really think when Italy to me,
Hmm.
I would say outside of Venezuela, Italy was the most surprising uh kind of team that came out of this. I really thought that they were going to knock out, or I really thought that Puerto Rico was going to knock out Italy, just historically being a better
Hmm.
team. I do think, you know, of course, Puerto Rico was hurt by what we had previously discussed, not being able to
Right.
have some of their star players join. But I still think that Puerto Rico had enough juice to knock out
Hmm.
Italy in Pool B, and I was wrong. And so that semifinal two that we had with Italy and Venezuela was just
Yeah.
completely improbable because I think if you had
Right.
asked anybody a week ago, they would have
Hmm.
said, "Oh, that's going to be a Japan Puerto Rico semifinal. Japan
Hmm.
will probably win and face the US." So that in and of itself was really, really exciting. And I will say it was very surprising to see the Dominican Republic, after just having an explosive quarterfinal, just really get shut down by the US team in that semifinal
I
game.
I will say I was expecting it to be a low scoring game because Paul Skeens was pitching. I just did not count on the umps also potentially gambling on this game because there were some very bad strike three calls in both the eighth and ninth inning
Oh yeah.
against Juan Soto and against Geraldo Perdomo that essentially I think turned that it became an umpire show. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because when you had like the last at bat with Geraldo Perdomo, that was a brilliant at bat, and it was a ball. It was like 4 inches outside of the strike zone, which is huge. Um, and you had I don't remember who was on. Someone was on third. I can't remember who was on third. But you had a runner on third, and this would have been a ball, and you would have had Tatis at. It would have been a Tatis at bat. I think it just took away from what could have been a really brilliant moment. Either did DR walks it off,
Hmm.
or the U.S. proved that they earned their spot in the final because
Right.
now it feels like it's been gifted to them by outside forces, and it's been feeling a little bit of that way
Yeah.
throughout the course of the series, just a little bit.
I agree, and not even that could help the United States in the end. And I really think when you look at this US team, the fact that they had as much star power as they did,
Mm-hmm.
especially on offense, and offense for them was virtually a non-factor. Here, when you're running out a lineup that consists of Bobby Witt Jr., Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber, Alex Bregman, Roman Anthony, Will Smith, Bryce Terang, Byron Buxton, and then you've got
Cal
guys like
Raleigh.
Hal Raleigh and Pete Crow Armstrong coming off the bench. The fact that in this series you essentially had, outside of tonight, Bryce Harper was a non-factor, Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Judge was a non-factor and was a strikeout machine. You
I
had,
will say, that's how you know that this was an important game because Aaron
oh
Judge
yeah,
did not show up.
it was
He
like
struck out
October.
3 times tonight. This was
Yeah.
Judge in peak October form.
Yep. Yes, sure was. It was also, I know we always, as Astros fans, would complain about Bregman's slow start in the
Hmm.
spring. Man, Bregman was a non-factor in this game and
I
in this series
know.
as well, and in the entire WBC. And so just the offense non-existent, pitching was,
Pitching was
inconsistent, but
weird.
it was
Pitching
weird.
was very weird.
I'm a little bit I'm a little bit worried about Nolan McLean only because he's going to go back to Mets camp. He's
Hmm.
going to be the Mets number 2 pitcher this year. And he's a young guy. He only made 8 starts last year for the
Hmm.
Mets, and so he is still very much a rookie. And I'm a little bit worried about his like mental psyche after kind of having really 2 rough WBC
He,
starts.
I would say he did very well for what he was given because
Yeah,
his offense never gave him any run support. This is too
yeah.
talented of a squad to do this poorly because besides I think if you discount their game against Great Britain and Brazil, because
Hmm.
again, those are two teams just don't play baseball. The
Right.
U.S. never scored more than 5 points against any opponent.
Yes,
Like that,
I agree.
that should not have happened.
And that is, I don't know what that is a testament to. I mean, when you have, here's also what it might be. When you have a team full of superstars in the way that you do, they may not have gelled because, I mean, these are guys who are used to batting second, third, fourth in the lineup. And so there's just a different layer of, do I have protection from this person, or I'm batting seventh? Like, there is such a psychological side to baseball that, maybe that had a factor in it,
Yeah.
but they just didn't.
I
Not only did they not
I
gel as a team, Robyn, they were
I
just
think
a weird team.
I would still say it's a weird thing. I'll touch on the weirdness a little bit, but going back to your previous point, it's a very interesting contrast to the Dominican Republic team because you can argue the same that every member of the Dominican Republic team was a star who also batted in the top of the lineup, but you could tell that they had trust in the next person who comes up behind
Yeah,
them, so they were
next man
patient, they
up.
took their at bats, and and I think it just comes down to the culture and how the team itself views the World Baseball Classic, because um if you ask the Latin American teams, they would say country over anything. And so that love for their team, that love for each other comes through, versus I think we saw those videos, like, didn't Alex Bergman post a behind the scenes and it's just everyone sitting around? There's just nothing tying them together. There's no unifying thing. I think it goes back to what Bryce Harper said, like, World Baseball Classic's cool, but it's not the Olympics. Like, I think they all would rather be at spring training than playing in the World Baseball Classic. And I think that came through in how they just didn't, I don't want to say they didn't care, but it clearly translated over in a very obvious and weird way.
And what it comes down to tonight, Robyn, with Venezuela winning the
Mm-hmm.
championship, the team that wanted it more won. And it's
Yeah.
as simple as that.
Yeah. But also, oh goodness, I think it also comes down to Captain America was not a captain. I think he didn't have what it took to rally the group, and it also didn't help that they had a skipper in DeRosa that was a complete mess. And it's like, also, I think this comes down to, there was a very weird military propaganda being pushed throughout that kind of was a little off-putting, I would say, for a lot of people considering current political environment. And why are you having, like, a Navy SEALs guy come speak to your clubhouse right before the game against Canada? Like, it's just very weird vibes.
Your number one hour. Listen, I know we want to be Canada, but Canada's taken a lot of shit from the United States. We do not need a Navy SEAL. This was the guy who I believe was part of the Osama bin Laden raid to come in and amp up the boys. You are playing a game. Yes, go out there, wear your heart on your sleeve. But that was weird as hell. And I saw a joke on Twitter about this. Like, who are they going to bring in next? Kyle Rittenhouse to come and, like, fire up the boys?
Right. It's just one of those things that, like, who are you talking about? Like, these terrorists, like the Naylor brothers? Like, it's just a very, very weird way to fire up a team before they play a baseball game.
Oh, yeah. It was this whole vibe with Team USA this year, especially. It was a little bit different in 2017 and 2023. But I mean, two things. First of all, Mark DeRosa, in my opinion, cost himself an MLB manager job. He's interviewed for jobs before. He's wanted jobs before. He has a high profile role on MLB Network. But this alone cost Mark DeRosa a job. Whereas on the flip side, I think Omar Lopez probably just secured an MLB manager job next year.
Yeah, I would say Omar Lopez is the Astros bench coach, which is actually very exciting for us as well. Another plus side for wanting Venezuela to win. But no, it's just Mark DeRosa shot himself in the foot, and then he just kept digging and digging his hole. And he was actually the one who brought in Robert O'Neill.
He's a yapper.
Sidebar. He also made a weird Twitter post about boy concubines. And it's just, again, it just adds to the weird vibes. But I think we should talk about Mark DeRosa some more, because I think it's really funny that you, as a manager, have no idea what the qualifying rules are for this entire tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he thought they were in. He thought they were in when it was what was that? The Canadian? It was
we were playing against Italy.
Game.
It was the Italy game. I was literally, so when the U.S. was playing Italy, I was literally online with a bunch of other fans. We were trying to calculate the tie-breaking odds. We were doing more math than Mark DeRosa himself.
Yeah.
And granted, as the, like, head coach or whatever, he might have analysts on his team. How did no one on his team tell him, hey, just so you know, we actually haven't clinched a playoff berth?
Right. Because the boys, you and the boys, went out to I don't know where and were partying it up, as he alluded to the next morning. And so, very, just like, the problem with Mark DeRosa, again, was a great baseball player, is a great analyst and host on the MLB Network. He is a yapper. He is there. He's cosplaying as a major league manager during this tournament. I don't understand, with the investment that MLB has made in this, and especially with the US being the quote unquote premier team in this tournament, how they didn't understand where they stood in terms of qualifying or not qualifying. And the fact that they then the next day had to watch that Italy-Mexico game on the edge of their seat to see whether they were going to be flying to Miami or not was just insane and really just so embarrassing. So embarrassing.
And the worst part is, like I said, he kept digging this hole because he went on the next day. No, first he said, "Oh, I misspoke." Yeah. But then the next day he goes, I knew it. We hadn't qualified. We were going in 2-0. They're going in 2-0. Pause. Mm-hmm. Everyone was going in 3-0.
Right.
So,
yep.
That's where you're just had no idea what he was talking about. And also thought it was really funny where he was talking about how he prepared to be a manager by managing teams and alongside like imaginary teams of his imaginary moves alongside like Dusty Baker during like the Astros like Phillies World Series, where he go, "This is what I do during that time." And I'm sitting here going, by your logic, then I should also be the manager. I should also manage the U.S. National team, because I too have run a fantasy baseball team. I too set a lineup every day. I've gotten just as much practice as you.
Yeah. Wild.
So.
Absolutely wild. And then didn't they take down the video of him like on MLB Network?
They did.
Yeah. Weird.
So, and then I think there was enough backlash that they did eventually put it back up. But
put it back up.
I think MLB themselves has really hurt their credibility by doing that and by not just owning up to it. I just think as long as he owned up to it and go, "Look, I messed up," I think everyone would have let it go. But Agreed. It was just the doubling down. Because, like, what do you mean you're letting Clayton Kershaw warm up when in the 9th inning when you're like down by like 2 points? I think that was when they like switched it out to Mason Miller to warm up when someone told him, "Hey, just so you're aware, you kind of have to win this game."
Yeah, this is still important. Very odd. And I think, what also kind of resonates about the vibe and the feel of this team with Aaron Judge. Here's the rub with Aaron Judge. For the Yankees, Aaron Judge is perfection in terms of what they need in a clubhouse leader. They need somebody who is not fazed by the media, who is going to be even keeled, not be, overly emotive and show a ton of emotion in what he does. That's exactly what you need in New York to be a successful leader of a baseball team. And Aaron Judge does that with finesse, 162 games a year. As the leader of a national team playing in a World Baseball Classic tournament, you need a guy who is a little bit more like rally the troops, showing emotion. Like, to me, and not to say that like Bryce Harper would have done a better job, but I think Bryce Harper would have done a better job as the leader of this team because he is a little bit more of an emotional baseball player. He does, get mad, throw a bat, scream in the dugout. Where was that from Aaron Judge? Because again, he brought the Yankees corporate style to Team USA, and that's why they were just so unlikable throughout this tournament.
They just felt so sterile because I think Bryce Harper did finally show some emotion in the 8th inning of tonight's game.
Yes.
But this lack of celebration throughout, like, how do you have someone like Ernie Clement on your team and you have made me dislike you? Like, they were not exciting to watch at all.
Okay, Robyn, one of the positive things outside of this just being such a fun tournament has also been that the World Baseball Classic is tanking the culture of the Seattle Mariners locker room before the season has even started.
Yes, that was one thing where I'm like, okay, it does add a little bit to the weird vibe of the US that we're
Yes.
talking about, but it
Yes.
also is really funny to watch as an Astros fan, seeing Cal Raleigh decline his teammates' handshakes.
Yes. Yes. And Randy Rosarena did
Mm-hmm.
not react so kindly to that.
Mm-mm, he did not. He told him in 4 languages to shove it up his ass. So I mean, he clearly took it personal.
And that made me a fan of his, truly.
And the thing is, like, Hal Raleigh's excuse was like, he was locked into the game, da 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 da.
Stop.
But this was
Stop.
also right before, the whole Italy, Mexico, US 3-way tie mess. And so it's like, really? Are you really locked into the game?
Right. Like,
Because
get a
it really
grip.
does not feel like it.
Get a grip. So
Cal
that
Raleigh
to
also
me, yeah, go for it.
I was thinking he also did not have a hit this
No,
whole
I mean,
series.
he came off such a high last season.
Mhm.
Guy mashed 60 home runs, was the toast of the town. He essentially won the Joe DiMaggio Toast of the Town Award for Seattle, whatever that's called. And so he came riding high into this tournament. He's a household name. And he shit the bed this tournament. And I am here for it. I hope it is a sign. I'm sorry, Mariners fans. There are some of you who I really like, and you are a beautiful city. But I do not need the Mariners to have a good season. And so far, it looks like they're entering the season with some clubhouse issues, and I'm here for it.
No, well, I can say like maybe 2025 was a fluke because this WBC kind of felt like it.
Yeah.
But can I also do another sidebar because you and I did used to both be teachers. I had no idea that Cal Raleigh's first name, full name, legal name was Caleb.
Yeah.
I seriously thought it was like Callum, Calvin, something with like a cow sound. Please bring back phonics.
Yeah.
Our kids could not read because they don't know phonics.
Yep. We need
Why
this.
is his nickname not Kale if his name is Caleb?
Because then his nickname would be Kale.
I know, but I'm saying, why is it not Kale?
Because that's lame. Doesn't roll off the tongue the same way Cal does. But I agree. We need phonics instruction back in schools. It's slowly coming back, but it needs to be back in a bigger way.
No.
Love it. Love it.
That's all right. Okay, can we also talk about skee ball real quick?
Yeah.
I think the more skee ball talks, the less I like him, the more he's embarrassing himself. Because I understand you said, I'm going to throw one game and then I'm going to go back to spring training. So why are you still driving down to Miami in the rain to sit in the dugout with everyone? Why are you putting on that Canadian, why are you putting on the U.S. hockey jersey before tonight's game with the crew? Why are you saying, oh, next year, next time, I didn't know how much it would mean, but it was so exciting, I'll just do it next time. But, okay, so then why aren't you pitching tonight?
Right. Yeah.
If this meant that much to you, why are you not pitching tonight?
I've got to think that this was not his choice.
Yeah.
I really think that it was ultimately the Tigers who probably said, hey, you can go out there, toss a couple innings, but we are not risking you. You should not risk yourself in a contract year. I mean, it's lame. And I was listening to the pregame, and they were talking about how Venezuela's manager, Omar Lopez, was getting phone calls all throughout the night from MLB GMs saying, hey, you can use this pitcher only if you are in a save situation. Hey, you can only use this pitcher for 20 pitches. Hey, this guy is not even allowed to touch a baseball tomorrow. Like, that is sort of the thing that when I look at how WBC could be improved, it's probably just like telling teams to back off. But that will never happen. Ultimately, the teams are the ones who are paying the players. But that has, to an extent, kind of taken some of the juice out of the tournament. I mean, it was still super exciting, but the fact that you are having to hold back your best players, and that Mark DeRosa and Omar Lopez tonight could not go full throttle. We are throwing everything against the wall. And to an extent, I understand why. This is technically an exhibition game, but that is the unfortunate part that guys who really want to be a part of it, such as Jose Altuve, who was looking
Hmm.
all sad puppy dog in the stands last
Oh,
night.
when I
Oh,
saw that, my heart broke.
same, same. I so wish that he could have been a part of this team and their magical run. But I think there is probably an element of him being like proud dad, with these guys.
Yeah,
And so good for him, good for the team. But
yeah.
I when I think about this tournament and just maybe a storyline that got away or it would have been such an amazing thing to see is Team Dominican Republic. Like
Yeah.
the fact that this was, I think, the most loaded team we have ever seen
Hmm.
in the history of the WBC, and that is without Jeremy Pena, who unfortunately could not make the tournament due to injury. They just have so much raw talent, and I mean, hands down, I think they were the most stacked roster. It was just so embarrassing, though, to see some of the fan reaction, especially on the
Yeah.
US side, Robyn, against
Yeah.
the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, I will say the amount of gross and blatant racism that happened online was just absolutely disgusting. There was an interaction, so I think it was a joke for the Dominican Republic players like Tati, Soto. There's a couple separate instances. One instance was specifically in regards to how during like the press conferences, there is a tea brand, like this green tea brand that's sponsored that Shohei Ohtani is like the face for. But they've also sponsored the WBC. So you can see like the DR players having some fun, removing the tea from the table. And then so you then have like Dodgers fans online taking very serious offense to it and like calling them like, look at these gorillas, da 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 da. Like all of a sudden it's just like disgusting racism. And it's
That's
like,
awful.
no, thank you. That's not what this is about. And then on the flip side, I think this is more directed towards fans watching the WBC. And thankfully, I think we're small enough of a count where we didn't get any of it, but we could see some of our friends online really like being called like fat cunts. Excuse my language. Because had they were supporting other teams that wasn't the US. And
Mm,
it's just like very there's it was that it's a very specific demographic and crowd who wants politics out of sports but can't recognize that this overt military propaganda is very political and it's been driving some fans away. And so you have just people being nasty just because some people decide to support other teams, either because that's their heritage, either because they have players they like playing for those teams. And it just becomes very much like, well, why don't you leave this country then if you don't like this team? Like the US, if you're not supporting the US, you hate this, you hate the US. And it's like, no, I just want to watch good baseball.
yeah, good baseball is good baseball. And the beauty of this tournament is, some of your favorite players from the team that you root for day in and day out are on Team Japan, are on the Dominican
Mm-hmm.
Republic team, play for Puerto Rico. Like that is the beauty of it. And I think also the fun of this tournament is unlike the World Series where you are like, I need this team to win. I don't want the
Right,
Dodgers to win or whatever it may be. You're going to be like tonight. I would have been happy if the USA had won as well. Like,
right.
would I have wanted the sort of Cinderella story of Team
Mm-hmm.
Venezuela? 100%. They were into this tournament more. They wanted it more. But listen, I root for half of the players on Team USA anyway, so I would have been happy to, see them win.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, guys, this is a game. And we
Right.
we have so much in this world right now to be upset about, to be mad
Right.
about, to be stressed about. Let this game be something that you enjoy. Listen, you and I love to shit talk
Mm-hmm.
as much as anybody else, but it's all in good fun. It's not malicious, and just
No.
let it be, folks. Like we need to really take a chill pill in society right now.
Right. Like I'm just saying because is our sports political? Yes, but we weren't. We were rooting for these other teams. We were rooting for Mexico. We were rooting for DR, Venezuela, Puerto Rico because these are fun teams and because we
Yes.
all have players we love on these teams.
Yes.
That does not mean we we're we did not. Nothing about that decision to root for those teams was political. You were the one who decided to make it political by coming into people's comments and calling them every
Literally.
single slur
Yep.
under the sun.
Yep. Get a life,
So
people. Get a
it's
life.
just,
Yeah.
I think, I mean, this is Elon's Twitter, right? It's just gotten
Yeah.
worse and more broken every day. And
Yeah.
I think that was like the one downside to watching the WBC this past week and a half or so was just the ugliness of fans when this is such a beautiful game to watch.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, shame on them. But to bring some good news, I was so happy to see that Houston broke the attendance record for
Yes.
World Baseball Classic and for pool play.
Mm-hmm.
And that it gives me hope that it will be brought back to Houston
Mm-hmm.
in a few years. I think Houston was a great host site, especially for, I mean, the fact that Mexico was playing in Houston.
Yeah.
Those games were insane, but I mean, very well attended. You and I were at a
Mm-hmm.
game as well.
Yeah.
And Houston's just a good central venue for it. And
Yeah.
there's enough to do around the stadium where, it's worth the trip. So I was really very happy to see that because selfishly, I want the tournament to return to Houston again in
Yeah.
future years.
I agree. It was so much fun. The environment was so electric. It really felt like a World Series game the
Yeah,
whole time. Like it was
yeah,
just electric in there, even for like a um expected easy game like US versus GB. I
yeah.
do have one of my coworkers, her fiance had friends flying for the entire week,
Hmm.
just so they could experience every single game in
Yeah.
the WBC in Houston. So I would selfishly also very
Yes.
much like it to return.
It also got me very excited for the World Cup in a couple of months.
Yes.
Can't
Well,
wait.
kind of. I am a little nervous because the traffic has been kind of
Uh,
bad.
I'm gonna live in my delusion and say that was all because of spring break at the rodeo.
I
But
mean, okay, but it's gonna be the summertime. The kids are gonna be
I
out of
I
school.
know. I know.
I think the only benefit, I can't say benefit, good part about the World Cup taking place in 3 countries is that there are multiple cities for people to
Yes.
travel to. So
Yes.
hopefully the division of cities is enough to keep
And
the rowdiness away.
who wants to come to Houston in June? Let me tell you right now, don't. Don't.
Stay away if you can.
Yes. Stay away if you can. But it is the perfect time, Robyn, to talk about
Hmm.
our wild pitches of the week. And if you don't mind, I'll start off this week because it's sort of
Yeah,
aligned
absolutely.
to what we were just talking about. So we
Hmm.
are in an era in which baseball is thinking about expansion teams.
Hmm.
There has been talk about a Nashville team. There has been talk about bringing a team back to Montreal. There has even been, to a lighter extent, talk about bringing a team to Mexico City, for example. And MLB now has an annual tournament, or not a tournament, an annual series that happens in Mexico City every year.
Hmm.
Seeing how the fans, especially fans of Latin American teams, were
Hmm.
so into the tournament this year, how cool would it be if we actually did, in fact, have an expansion team in Mexico City or in Puerto Rico? I think Mexico City is a little bit more realistic only geographically because it is a little bit more central for both the East Coast and the West Coast teams to travel to. But and the altitude I know is a little bit of a concern, but truly, I would love to see a team in Mexico City because the fans there would be so into it. And that would be an electric venue every single series, because inevitably there is at least one player of Mexican descent on each MLB team. Not that that's a
Mm-hmm.
requirement for fans getting excited, but just the energy and the way in which those fans are into the sport has been so much fun to see through this series. I think in Miami tonight, the crowd was more pro Venezuela and rooting more for
Yes.
Team Venezuela than Team USA. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would just love to see that on a regular basis with an expansion team in somewhere in Latin America, preferably Mexico City. But I would love to see that in the next few years. MLB, get on it.
Yeah, I also saw a tweet where people were like, so what if we just had a Dominican Republic team? I think that would be so cool to
Right.
expand to these, um, I guess like Caribbean and Latin American countries because that is where a significant portion of our players do come from these locations. So it would be really nice to have that expansion. I think the only problem, again, like you mentioned, would be logistics.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but
What do you got, Robyn?
alrighty. So, and along the lines of today's theme, I think the World Baseball Classic should actually just be a yearly event. Just because
Hmm.
it's been so much fun. Maybe yearly is too frequently and takes away some of the allure, but I think it should happen more than once every 3 years. I just I think if you see it, I mean you mentioned the attendance rate at like in Houston at Daikin. It's just something that I feel has been so exciting to watch, so fun. It's brought in so many more baseball fans. I think this really could be something that happens like every 2 years, even. Um, because I think even with sports, you do have a high turnover rate of
Hmm.
athletes. And I think this would be a great chance to have more athletes represent their country for a longer period of time. Just so it's also just a really great way to open up the baseball season.
Yeah.
Because normally like in October I do get a little sad because it's like, wow, baseball is about to end. What am I going to do for the next 4 months? But now it's like, okay, this tournament's ending. It's exciting, but
Yeah.
opening day is in a week.
Yep. Yep.
So I just think it's a very nice opener. I do understand the concerns for injuries now,
Mm.
more injuries more so because if it is more frequent, but I think this is just such a fun way to open up the season, fun way to bring in more fans, and a fun way to really celebrate the different cultures of players who do play in the MLB and also not in the MLB.
Yeah.
So,
I think that is like perhaps the coolest part of the tournament is just getting exposure to players that you don't necessarily see either A, play together, or B, play in a major league baseball type game at all. So I would love to
mhm,
see it become, maybe if it's not an annual, like a every 2 year type thing, but
mhm.
this is such a cool bridge to the start of the season. Like I feel like I'm in mid-season form. You and I were texting throughout the game today, and
Yeah.
you're like, "Why is this so stressful? It feels like the World Series." And I mean, but just so cool. Such a fun experience in March
Mhm.
when there's not much else going on right now.
Yeah.
Love
I
it.
think just something that Vinny Pasquantino said in his post interview after Italy its exit from the World Baseball Classic, like how he's talking about how in like 20 years he hopes the Italian team is just all Italian. And I think that's really encapsulates like the spirit of what the WBC is and what baseball is because you do have these smaller country teams that right now, yeah, they're a little bit more American
Hmm.
in some instances, but you also have the electricians, you have the engineers, you have the teachers, and it's really exciting to see another young generation come up, watch these games, and go, yes, I'm also going to play baseball for my country
Right.
in a couple years.
Well, and listen, this tournament has been great for baseball. It has been fantastic for, I think, growing the sport. Now, MLB, Rob Manfred, the Players Association, figure it out. We cannot get locked out after you have
No.
so much momentum going into this season. Fans who have never watched the game, who are now going to watch the game as a result of this tournament, don't mess it up, MLB.
No, my sister loves baseball now. Don't ruin this for her.
Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. And I think with those words of wisdom for MLB, and I'm sure they're going to take my advice, we will wrap up this week's special episode of Bad Pitch Energy. Robyn, I'm really excited for our episode next week, which will be all about previewing the upcoming season. You and I will make our predictions for teams, for players, and then for some special awards that only Bad Pitch Energy can give out. And so I'm excited for that. But I really appreciate you listening, watching, joining Bad Pitch Energy. And we'll see you next time.
All right, we'll catch y'all later. Bye.